Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar from the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as it's going to continue to be bone dry through the rest of this working week into the weekend, and things are going to remain fairly warm, especially the further westwards and southwards you do go. Further northwards and eastwards, we are going to be seeing an easterly flow, so it's going to always keep those temperatures a few degrees cooler, but there it should still be fairly pleasant, just a tad chillier and a bit more thicker cloud around. As we head into the long range, we see in the GFS, GM, ECMWF and the ensembles, this pattern looks likely to continue, and even some runs are getting some even warmer or hotter air in as we do head into June. So the potential for temperatures to climb even higher, nothing ridiculously warm, perhaps mid-20s is possible. And there is the risk, as we will see on the GFS 12 o'clock run today, that low pressure could sit in and around the UK. Currently, low pressure is sat out in the Atlantic and to our south, with high pressure sat well over the top of us. If low pressure did penetrate through and high pressure sort of moved off a little bit, it could keep this low pressure system trapped underneath us, or over the top of us, and we'd see patterns like we're seeing in southern Europe start to develop closer to the UK, with big thunderstorms repeating most days. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, but as I said, it's right in the longer range on this latest GFS run. We'll see what support it does have today. So do remember, if you enjoy the videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, we're putting out this video a little bit later than normal, unfortunately, just been a bit busy this afternoon, so hopefully you get to see this around 7 PM or so, but around 20 past 6, once again, bone dry, really nothing out there at all. And as I said, thunderstorms towards southern Europe, this is where big low pressure is, parked at the moment over the Mediterranean. And that's because we've got big high pressure sat here, and it's diverting all the lows and giving lots of heavy rain and thunderstorms for southern Europe. For the UK, as of 6 PM, it's still fairly warm in the west. You can see temperatures low to even mid-20s here through parts of central Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, parts of northwest England, Wales and southwest England. But look through central and eastern regions. To have pointed this out over the last few days, with the easterly flow coming in, it will hold those temperatures down. So many areas here more towards sort of the 10 to 15 degree range. 10 degrees maybe on the right on the coast, more around the 15 degree range, or maybe slightly higher inland. Getting to all these thicker yellows, higher teens, and then the oranges towards 20 degrees plus. So it is a bit of a cooler day in the east today. It will continue to be like this, but I don't think it will be to this extent, as the easterly wind does get cut off a little bit, and we'll see that on the UKV now. So if you look at the precipitation and temperature on the UKV, run through the precipitation quickly, as there looks likely to be zero precipitation really over the coming days. Again, through the next sort of 24 hours, perhaps some thicker cloud in the east once again, but again, no rainfall. A few specks of rain within some thicker clouds is possible. And into Thursday, again, sunny day, cloud along the far east, and that's the same into Friday, less cloud, and into the Saturday as well. Once again, bone dry day and very sunny. You see the upper air temperatures are going to be warm. Even at the moment, the upper air temperatures are warm in the east, but it's because we've got that easterly flow holding those surface temperatures down. We saw yesterday the latest sea surface temperatures, and they're around the 10 to 13 degree mark. So that's why it keeps those temperatures colder at the surface, close to coastal regions and drifting inland at times as well, especially when we've got some trapped cloud. But you can see the upper air temperatures are really quite stationary over the next 5 days or so, hovering around that sort of 8 to 12 degree mark. Again, giving the possibility of around 25 degrees in some regions, especially further westwards. If you look at those max temperatures, you can see through today, temperatures are at best in the west, 20 to 22 degrees, peaking at maybe 23 or 24, and I said mid-teens further eastwards. Into tomorrow afternoon, once again, another very warm day. Slightly warmer for southeast England, but perhaps slightly cooler for parts of the West Midlands and southern Wales, with perhaps a bit more cloud there. But across Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, and Scotland, once again, 20 to 23 degrees. Into Thursday, first day of June, widely a warm day in the west, once again, widely 19 to 23 degrees. Again, far east struggling more towards the mid-teens. Into Friday, carbon copy really, 20 to 23 degrees again, could see 24, 25 in a few spots. And finally into Saturday, Same conditions once again, widely 19 to 23 degrees in the west, sort of 15 to 18 further eastwards. So it's carbon copy of the coming days. It shouldn't be too cool in the east. It will be a little bit chilly, and some people may prefer that. A little bit more cloud, a little chillier conditions, may need a thin extra layer. But it's pretty decent conditions for this time of year. We've not seen anything ridiculously warm, nothing ridiculously hot, just fairly pleasant, average to above average in the west, and generally really average at the moment, maybe slightly below on the coastal regions. Further eastwards, and with these bone dry conditions, can't ask much more than this, really, for pleasant weather, and it's looking likely to continue for the foreseeable future. So do look at the GFS and see what that is developing over the next few weeks. Now, as I said at the start of the video, it does produce heavy, thundery rain towards the end of its run, but for the majority of it, it's still fairly warm and dry. You see high pressure sat over top of us, continues to dominate all the way to day 10. However, here, you can see low pressure is sat over the Mediterranean right now, weak low pressure, and it slowly migrates its way northwards. By around day 10, we've got low pressure sat to our south, and this will be giving heavy rain and thunderstorms, initially in warm air. And you see the high pressure gets shoved away. Eventually this low pressure connects with low pressure out in the North Sea, and we see big low pressure developing up towards Scandinavia, cooler northerly flow developing. So initially a warm, thundery pattern, sort of day 10 to day 14, and the last couple of days more of an unsettled, cooler pattern with low pressure sat to our north with big northern blocking. And over the past few days we have continually seen northern blocking developing, but it's never got within the 10-day time frame. So it is still uncertain with this, but we will have to keep a very close eye and see if anything does come of this. If we go back to day 10 and that low pressure to our south, zooming into the United Kingdom, look, you can see that low approaching. Again, if we look at the Cape, you see there isn't anything too significant, but there is a moderate amount, much more than there is at the moment, and over the coming days, which will mean there will be the chance of some thunderstorms and some general rain. You can see if we look at the precipitation, again, nothing too crazy here, but rainfall starts to move in around that sort of 9th to 10th of June point, and then it goes more unsettled. Again, look at the accumulated precipitation, pretty much bone dry until around the 9th, and then rain starts to move in, heavy and thundery at times. So in the longer range, but the risk is there, and we'll have to keep an eye on it. If you look at the GM now, we'll see how that does compare. Again, high pressure completely dominating, easterly flow, and continue just to park over the top of us or near us all the way to day 10. You can see the low pressure does start to exert more influence on us. This could not only provide the risk of some thunderstorms with some more instability moving in, but it could actually drag up some even hotter air, the 10-degree isotherm dominating, maybe even slightly higher air wafting up. The air across Europe isn't too ridiculously hot at this stage, but the 15-degree isotherm is there, and that could make its way close to the UK, and that could give high 20s. If you look at the precipitation, you can see nothing too crazy for most of the UK, but you can see the heavy thunderstorms spiraling around this low pressure system, starting just to impact parts of southern Ireland, or southern coast of the Republic of Ireland, and far southwest of England. So the risk is there from the GM, but it's not full-blown like it has on the GFS. If we look at the ECMWF, again, high pressure continues to dominate all the way to day 10, and yes, low pressure is forming a little bit towards the Azores, but really nowhere near the UK. And you look at us, we're warm. Our temperature is suffering a little bit further northwards, but still generally quite nice, and at day 10, minimal precipitation at all. So ECMWF keeping on the bandwagon of extremely dry and fairly warm for the next 10 days. GM has that for the next 9 days, and as we hit to day 10, turns even hotter perhaps, but brings a risk of some thundery weather, especially in the south and the west. And the GFS, very similar to the ECMWF till day 10, and then it goes unsettled, perhaps thundery, and before breaking everything down with lower pressure. If you look at the ensembles though, we just start on the GFS ensembles. These are the 6 o'clock run, so this operational run here doesn't correspond to the 12 o'clock run we had a look at. It's because the 12Z run hasn't fully come out as I'm recording this. So I'd rather have that extended range where we do have the uncertainty from the 6 o'clock run. Now I can see out to sort of the 9th of June, the next 10 days, bone dry, slightly cooler perhaps, but cooler towards average really, nothing cooler than that, and generally above average. And you can see some hotter runs appearing, including the 6 o'clock run from the GFS here around that 7th to 11th of June point. There is a bit more precipitation here, so there's a risk that we see some thunderstorms developing within this. Again, that's perhaps what the GM was hinting at there, but still generally very warm and very dry. Again, the 2 meter temperatures from this, again, looking really nice. See the GFS operational run there, just showing you what a build and air mass could do. Up towards that sort of 12 or 13 degree range, 850 HPA, 27 or 28 degrees is possible here. And finally, if we look at the ECMWF operational run, very similar. Not quite got that rise around the 9th to 11th as much, but still generally average to above average by a good few degrees, with the control run actually being very warm here from the latest ECMWF ensembles. Precipitation does pick up from around the 9th of June, but yeah, that's still 10 days away, and relative to the number of ensemble members, that's not a lot of precipitation. But it's something, and along with some of the operational runs we've seen today, and some we've seen in the last few days, there could be signs of a bit of a change as we head to around that 10th of June point. Whether it will be low pressure moving back in like the GFS is showing, or whether it will be like the GM, where it is still warm and generally dry and perhaps even hotter, but bring the risk of thunderstorms, we'll have to see, or whether we just continue this warm and dry spell like the ECMWF operational run wants today. Again, the warm dry bubble will not last forever. It's likely in the next couple of weeks we will break it. We'll just have to keep a very close eye on when it happens and how it happens, whether it goes warmer, hotter, thundery, or breaks down to a cooler, more unsettled sort of pattern. We will just have to see over the coming days. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you have a fantastic week, and I'll see you again for another video soon.